Hi, my name is Dr. Terry Mason, and this is NDIGO Gumbo. A little bit about myself. I'm a native Chicagoan, and I did all my education here in Chicago, and my training in general surgery and in urology were all done in Chicago at great hospitals like Michael Reese, the University of Illinois. My practice was here in Chicago for over 30 years as a board-certified urologist. In that practice, I treated men not with prostate cancer only, but with other diseases. And one of the things we'll talk about a bit more is erectile dysfunction and its connection to other diseases like heart disease. Today we're going to talk about God's pharmacy. Well, just what is God's pharmacy? When you look out at a farm, you see all of these vegetables, all these fruits, each of them power-packed with the things that our body needs, not just to live, but to thrive. And I decided, rather than try to feature the pharmacy I was taught about, I want to talk about the one I was not. And the one I wasn't taught was the one about the power in the fruits and in the vegetables that are there, created by our Creator for us to be able to not just heal ourselves, but to thrive. And so God's pharmacy is understanding how we leverage those fruits and those vegetables, how we begin to understand those different colors that we call very scientific names, and I'm not going to get into those. But what I want you to understand is that the way that we can get well, stay well, and thrive is to eat more things out of God's pharmacy. That is the farm, where we have things that are growing from the soil and from the water. And if we did that, we would need less of man's pharmacy, the pills and the different potions that we get, which are many times extracts of those foods in God's pharmacy. How did I get to this thing talking about God's pharmacy? How did I begin to look at understanding that there was some relationship to what we ate and the diseases we either got or didn't get, or the ones that healed or didn't heal? How did I learn that? Well, it's pretty simple. We were taught to manage disease. That's what doctors do. We detect and manage diseases. We don't cure them, we manage them. We manage your high blood pressure. We manage your diabetes. We manage these diseases, even your cancers. But you say, well, isn't that what you're supposed to do? Well, no. God's pharmacy came out of my thinking that I needed to do more for the community that gave me so much. And that was to begin to think about how could we begin to prevent and reverse these diseases. And the key was in God's pharmacy. If we ate more out of God's pharmacy, we'd need less out of man's. Just lately, in fact, I'm getting ready to go do a talk. And constipation is a major problem in America. Tens of millions of dollars. Go into your local drugstore looking for things for constipation. In some places you will find an entire wall of things for constipation. But constipation is a foodborne disease. It's because the food that we didn't eat is what's causing our constipation. By not drinking enough water and not drinking enough food with fiber, that is what causes our digestive system not to work optimally, not to move our waste products through quickly and efficiently. Why does that happen? It happens because we have all of this equipment for a purpose. We have teeth that are right in front to help us bite things off. We have teeth that are in the back that are there for chewing, helping us to grind these things up and it goes down about a 10-inch pipe into our stomach, out of our stomach into our intestines, where they're further digested in a way to extract those important nutrients. But more importantly, the other thing, the fiber, that stuff that lingers when you chew, that's what's important. And God's pharmacy is the only place you can get that. You can take laxatives, you can take other pills and other potions, but God's pharmacy is where all of this starts. In the University of Illinois College of Pharmacy, there is a school or a segment of education called pharmacognosy. Pharmacognosy is understanding how you go to a plant, extract an active ingredient that has some medicinal purposes, go into a lab and recreate this very same thing and make a pill out of it or make some potion out of it. Anything but have you believe that if we ate the right things out of God's pharmacy, we wouldn't need those things. So every plant, whether it's things for your heart, something called digoxin that is used for helping to regulate the heart, that comes from a plant called the foxglove plant. So all of these things, the first pharmacy is really God's pharmacy. We don't ever give credit to that. I wasn't taught to give credit for that, because if we ate more of that, we wouldn't need much of man's pharmacy at all. We probably wouldn't get sick and need these other things, and understand that what I was taught as a physician, how to operate on people, how to give different kinds of medication, how to put in artificial joints. We wouldn't need much of that if we ate more out of God's pharmacy and kept that as the things that were important and at the mainstay of what we consumed. If we eat it as it is intended, right out of the farm, with all of the nutrients. You ever wonder why greens are greens? You ever wonder why red beets have red roots? Those colors, if you ever look at a rainbow, you'll see all of these different colors as the light is split to red and green and all those things. That's where those colors come from. And then they get placed in a matrix like an oil, which is where all of those things are. And when you eat the plant, not only just the leaf, but even the stem, you get the nutrients in their most potent form. And that will put you on the course to maintaining good health. What are some of the things that are important in God's pharmacy? The short answer is all of it. That's just the truth. When you get collard greens, and you get turnip greens, and you get Swiss chard, and you get lettuce, and you get all of these things out of God's pharmacy, you can eat them just as they are. They don't even need to be cooked. When we put them in a bowl just as they are, we call that a salad. But that is the nutritional value of the things that grow from the ground. And when I say grow from the ground, I'm not excluding trees, I'm not excluding fruits or berries or watermelons or cantaloupes. All of these things we grow in God's pharmacy. And let me tell you why I said that. I had to come to a point in my life that if God had given me a vision to talk about God's pharmacy, and if God had given me that I need to get this word out to our people, the best way to eat some of these vegetables is in their natural state. And the one thing that's wonderful about it, you could just pick them and put them in a bowl. We call that a salad. And you can make a salad out of any fruits and or vegetables you want. And you will get the maximum kind of nutrition from that. Let me just say this when I talked about constipation. Constipation, to me, is the beginning of understanding that you've been eating too much of the wrong things. You haven't been eating anything with fiber. When you take foods that are processed, that comes out of bags, boxes, cans, and that kinds of things, you're not getting 100%. of the things that you should get. You're not getting the fiber oftentimes. When we're buying processed foods, when we're buying, and even the American Institute for Cancer Research says that 1 hot dog or 3 strips of bacon will increase your colorectal risk by 18%. By 18%. 1 hot dog or 3 strips of bacon. Why? Because a hot dog, I don't even know what a hot dog is. Do you know what it is when you eat it? Do you know what it's made from? Do you know how it's processed? Or 3 strips of bacon? We talk about bacon. Bacon oftentimes is made from a part of a pig, and it's mostly fat, and it's the bad fat, the fat that actually helps clog up our arteries. And when we eat these things on a regular basis, that's what happens. And before we know it, our small blood vessels get tangled up or clogged up, and then we end up with problems with circulation to our feet, or circulation to our legs, or circulation to our other parts of our body. And not only that, but we're not giving the body what it needs from God's pharmacy, the green leafy vegetables, that fiber, that stuff that you chew, and you have to chew. And hopefully when you buy it and cook it, you don't cook it to death, but it still has some crunch to it. It's that stuff that's necessary to help give the body what it needs to move the bowels through. We don't need to be, and I'm not going to name any particular brands, but what I'm trying to do with God's Pharmacy, what we're working with, and that's why we are also in the farming business, because you don't know what you're eating unless you grow it yourself. And we, as a people, need to grow more ourselves. And the beautiful thing about it is you could take it right out of the garden, just like we used to, and go right to the pot. That's when it's its most nutritious. We come from an ancestry of some of the strongest, most durable people on the planet. To have survived what was done to us during slavery and still thrive. We still produce geniuses like Carter G. Woodson and all kinds of people who did many, many, many things. We actually taught our slave masters. And you have to remember, contrary to popular belief, when they went and gathered slaves to be brought to the Americas, they were looking for the artisans. They were looking for the men and the women who know how to do things, because they didn't know how to do anything. We built the White House. We built a lot of those statues. We did that. We were masons already. We were glaziers already. We were plumbers already. They didn't learn that from anybody but us. We knew how to cultivate our food. We knew what grew best with something else. And more importantly, we knew how to identify those medicinal plants. God's pharmacy is nothing more than the embodiment of looking at the things that God created, that we grow and can continue to grow and eat, and different combinations to do a few things. Number one, it'll keep us healthy. Eating those foods from God's pharmacy, and that's why it's spelled F-A-R-M-A-C-Y. Pharmacy, it's from the farm. It comes from the soil. It's things that we already know. It's things that we already eat, but it's not some form of a seed that has been altered. It's the natural seed growing in the natural soil, in the natural waters of the earth. And we're using those fruits and those vegetables that grow out of God's pharmacy. What's God's pharmacy? All of the fruits, all of the vegetables that grow naturally on the planet. Even if we decide to cultivate them, that's still God's pharmacy. And that's why we use the word pharmacy, because it's the farm. The farm is where everything we need for better health, both to get it and maintain it, come from the farm and pharmacy. Our tastes have been engineered to want something salty, crunchy, and oily. That's our fast food industry. And those are the things that are going to take years off your life, eating those things. When we talk about God's pharmacy, we're talking about foods that grow out the ground. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about we need to eat foods that come out of the ground. That's why it's called pharmacy, F-A-R-M-A-C-Y, because we're talking about that's where everything in the farm comes from. It comes out the ground. So when we eat things out of the ground, we get the nutrients that were baked into that vegetable that were in the ground as that plant was grown. And you only get that from plants. And you only get plants when you have some place for them to grow. So God's pharmacy is celebrating the beauty, the power of eating the food that comes out of the ground. That's it in a nutshell.